Marcus Chen had been aboard the interstellar research station Nexus Prime for exactly 47 days, and for 47 days, the most beautiful being he'd ever encountered had treated him like background radiation, present but utterly irrelevant. Her name was Zelia Vorthak, a member of the Zephyrian Diplomatic Corps. Standing nearly 7 feet tall with iridescent blue-silver skin that seemed to shift like liquid mercury, she possessed 4 graceful arms and eyes that swirled with galaxies of purple and gold. When she walked through the station's corridors, conversations stopped. When she spoke in the council chambers, even the most senior ambassadors leaned forward to catch every melodic word. Marcus, a mid-level xenobiologist from Earth, might as well have been furniture. During morning briefings, she would sweep past his workstation without so much as a glance. When he tried to contribute to discussions about interspecies biochemistry, his actual area of expertise, she would examine her perfectly manicured talons with theatrical boredom. Once, when he'd attempted to introduce himself at a diplomatic reception, she'd looked right through him and struck up a conversation with a crystalline delegate about art theory. It stung more than Marcus cared to admit. He'd worked his entire career to earn a spot on humanity's first major diplomatic mission, only to be dismissed by someone who probably saw humans as barely evolved primates. The crisis began at 0347 hours on day 48. Marcus was in Laboratory 7, analyzing tissue samples from a recently discovered ecosystem, when the station's emergency klaxons began wailing. Red warning lights bathed everything in an ominous glow as Captain Thorne's voice crackled over the comm system. All personnel to emergency stations. We have multiple hull breaches in sectors 12 through 15. Toxic gas leak in the atmospheric processors. This is not a drill. Through the laboratory's viewports, Marcus could see the problem. A rogue asteroid, hidden in a debris field, had punched through the station's outer hull. Worse, it had ruptured the containment systems for the helix gas, a compound used in the station's advanced life support systems, but lethal to most carbon-based life forms in high concentrations. The evacuation alarms were deafening, but Marcus didn't move toward the escape pods. Instead, he ran toward the affected sectors. He'd spent months studying the station's biological systems, and he knew something the evacuation protocols didn't account for. The helix gas would react with the station's atmospheric recyclers to create an even deadlier compound, one that would make the escape pods themselves death traps within minutes. Marcus sprinted through corridors filled with panicking aliens of dozens of species. He pushed past towering Gordanian warriors and slipped under the segmented legs of insectoid hive collective drones. His human physiology, dismissed as primitive, by most species, suddenly became an advantage. He was smaller, more agile, and, thanks to humanity's evolution in Earth's high-gravity environment, far stronger than anyone expected. Reaching the damaged atmospheric processor, Marcus found himself in a nightmare of twisted metal and hissing gas. The emergency containment fields were failing, and he could see the chemical cascade that would doom everyone on the station beginning to form. But Marcus had an idea, a desperate, probably suicidal idea. Human biochemistry was weird. Where most species had evolved elegant, efficient metabolisms, humans were walking chemical warfare laboratories. Their livers could process toxins that would kill most aliens instantly. Their lungs could function in atmospheric conditions that would suffocate beings from worlds with perfect climates. Evolution on Earth had made humans into biological Swiss Army knives, not the best at any one thing, but capable of surviving almost anything. Marcus began manually venting the contaminated atmosphere while flooding the system with a compound he'd synthesized weeks ago for an entirely different experiment. His hands worked frantically on unfamiliar alien controls as the toxic gas burned his lungs and made his vision blur. The helix gas was reacting, but not the way it should. Marcus's compound was breaking the molecular bonds, neutralizing the threat. His crazy plan was actually working. By the time station security found him, Marcus was unconscious on the floor of the processor chamber, his body having filtered enough toxins to kill a small crystalline delegation. But he was alive, and more importantly, so was everyone else on the station. Marcus woke up in the medical bay 3 days later, his throat feeling like he'd gargled with molten metal. The first face he saw was Captain Thorne's, grinning broadly. "You magnificent, insane human," Thorne said. "Do you realize what you did? You saved 8,000 beings from 47 different species." "Is everyone okay?" Marcus croaked. "Everyone's fine, thanks to you. But you've got a visitor who's been waiting here for 2 days straight." That's when Marcus noticed her. Zelia Vorthak sat in the corner of the medical bay, her iridescent skin dimmed with what he was learning, to recognize a Zephyrian exhaustion. When their eyes met, she rose gracefully and approached his bed. "Human," she said, her voice carrying none of its usual imperious tone. I owe you an apology." Marcus tried to sit up, wincing. "You don't owe me anything." "Yes, I do." Her 4 hands gestured in complex patterns that Marcus's translation implant rendered as deep shame and respect. "For 47 days, I dismissed you. I saw human physiology as primitive, human intelligence as inferior. I was wrong." She moved closer, her galaxy eyes fixed on his. "What you did was impossible by every metric of galactic science. No Zephyrian could have survived that level of toxicity. No crystalline could have performed those calculations while poisoned. No Gordanian could have moved fast enough. Only a human, only you, could have saved us all." Marcus felt his cheeks burning. "I just did what needed doing." "No," Zelia said firmly. "You did what no one else could do. You did something that will be studied and celebrated across the galaxy for generations." She paused, her skin shifting to deeper, warmer hues. "I'm your biggest fan, human, and I'd be honored if you'd accept my friendship." Marcus looked into those swirling galactic eyes and saw something new there. Not dismissal or boredom, but genuine admiration and respect. For the first time since arriving at Nexus Prime, he felt like he truly belonged among the stars. "I'd like that," he said, extending his hand. "And call me Marcus." When she took his hand in one of her 4, her skin warm and electric against his, Marcus realized that sometimes being underestimated was humanity's greatest strength. In a galaxy full of beings who had evolved for perfection, humans had evolved for survival, and that made all the difference.